In this video, I wanted to introduce a pranayam. Now this pranayam and its information that has come through. The pranayam itself is a common one, commonly known. But what has actually come through, which I'm very, very excited to share, is about new information about this pranayam and why this particular pranayam is a key pranayam for where we find ourselves today in the cycle of transformation. So the name of the pranayam is Ujjayi. And Ujjayi, so the name itself, especially if you know the meaning, I suppose you feel it even more. But Ujjayi means victorious. I am victorious. And of course, when the mind is dancing at the level of duality, we tend to think it is also defined many times as, conquering, right? Conquering something, that's our experience. Or victory over, losing kind of stuff. But when we look at it from our truer identity, which of course has no opposite, Ujjayi, right? It's literally life's essence. I am living, victorious. So that is the awakened spirit of this pranayam, Ujjayi. And this pranayam, where we work, and the key aspect of this is that we work in the throat, the breath work. And it particularly affects the Udana Vayu and Prana Vayu. So we have 5 Vayus, the Prana that moves through the body, right? Look at everything, like I say, it's like a phenomena, it's tantra, it's mechanism. So the way Prana moves in the body is the way that we experience life. That is what we move, right? It's part of the subtle body. So many a times the conscious mind, right, that we are very familiar with, the known thinking mind, and we know this already, right, that it thinks it makes the decisions and things like that, but we know that it's the subconscious. All that is in the subtle body, right? And we have 3 bodies in yoga, as we know. Sthula Sharira, which is the one that we are most familiar with, this physical body, right? These are the biochemical, biological processes, all of that. But the basis of that is the Sukshma Sharira, which is the subtle body. And the subtle body has all these koshas. I'll go into that. But one of them, which is the Pranamaya kosha, has the prana aspect, which is the energy that is moving. And prana, that's why there are 5 different kinds. And we say vayus because it's the way that they move. We say winds in the body. The way these pranas move, that is the way we experience. If there's a blockage anywhere in the prana, that is experienced for us, and we live that way in that sense. So this particular pranayam helps and works with Udana Vayu and Prana Vayu. So these 2 Vayus that are there in the body. So Udana is specifically for the throat area. And the word itself, right, again, ud in our language in Hindi, means to soar, to fly, to rise up. And it's perfect for the effect of this pranayam. And then the prana vayu that we have is for the chest area, chest and the head area. So Udana Vayu, when we do it also, we sense into this. We'll really see Udana Vayu has the thing of upward movement, right? It like moves up, really helps with. And in many ways, we later kind of jump into the juicy details of why it is important at this time and how it is so linked to ascension, right? Of course, adding that all pranayams are, We are simply, looking at one pranayam in one aspect and kind of going deeper into it. So, and pranavayu, if you really look at it, is kind of expansive, forward facing, that kind of a feeling. So it's so the combination of these two are just absolutely amazing. And coming back to koshas, I want to share is that we have 3 bodies, right? Yoga takes that into consideration. It knows that we are not just this physical body. Stula Sharira is the physical body. Sukshma Sharira is the subtle body. A subtle body is larger than the physical body, right? One may even say our immediate auric field. And we say that is the subtle body. And then beyond that is our causal body. And the causal body is one way to look at this is like, this is what we call as conscious, right? We as in the personal known mind that sees with 5 gross senses, right? So gross senses, gross body. So it thinks I'm conscious. So we say, this is our conscious mind. And then we have the subtle body, which is our subconscious mind. And then the causal body is the unconscious mind, one may say, which is our truer identity, right? As consciousness, actually, the unknown that we share about. So these 3 bodies are taken into consideration. Now the beauty, now this is one of your first videos or not heard about. This has been my path and my journey. One of the beautiful and the most powerful ways during transformation that I found is working with prana, right? Doing pranayama. Is because if you look at the koshas now, all these 3 bodies, they have 5 koshas. If you look at it, they're like sheets. And particular, they have energy moving that way. For example, Annamaya kosha, which literally means the gross body, that physical food that we eat. All the chemicals, this we know scientifically, that we have always studied, the blood, the bones, the muscles and all of that, right? The biological and the chemical processes, all of that. The third body is the manomaya kosha. Manomaya is the subtle body, which is the mind, right? Mana, that phase. And we are familiar with that as well. It's that aspect of us that, are the thoughts and the emotions. And now, of course, we're all learning more and more about that, the power of thought, the wisdom of, emotion and what it actually is, all of that. But the kosha in between Annamaya kosha and the Manomaya kosha, subtle body, is the Pranamaya kosha. And this placement itself tells us how important prana is. So Pranamaya kosha directly connects to vitality, the energetic aspect of the body. And if I were to put it, I would say it's like the sensing capacity of the body. That's why it's the subtle body. And this is like a bridge between our physical body and the thoughts and emotions. So many a times in the world today, we hear the power of thought, control your thought or see the nature of your thoughts, right? And this thing, don't get swayed by emotion. In yoga, we really notice that when we work with prana, right, you directly go to the root. That's it. You directly go to the root. When you work with prana, you don't need to be too concerned about doing anything, like how the conscious mind thinks. Simple, energetic work that you do with prana directly takes care of the rest. Of course, there are very many foundational things, like I always share. The pranayam that really shifted it for me, which is what I'm called to share, is what I say is the identity-less way of doing pranayam. So it's a slightly different way in the way that we kind of work with it. Of course, every practice kind of leads to that itself. But when you can really begin with it and you see the dynamics of that, things radically shift. So prana is like the bridge, right? And prana moves through the breath. So when we say this is the Holy Trinity, right? We know that the mind, body and breath. So when we work, and we do this breath work or this pranayam work, then It takes care of the subtle body and it takes care of the physical body, both at the same time. We don't need to look at things in part again. Oh, taking care of my health of my body. Oh, I need to take care of my emotions and thoughts. And not only that, if you're working beyond that, right? So if you are like a healer or you are in the mystical field and all of that, then you're also talking about the koshas beyond the Manomaya kosha. The fourth kosha is Vijnanamaya kosha, which is intuition. Right? And we are right now in age of Aquarius. So age of Aquarius, as we know, is all about when we awaken, we are moving as intuition. To be awakened as the sovereign self is to know that as consciousness, this expression of consciousness that I am is truly in the moment, uniquely flowing. So we move as intuitive knowing itself. So we really do not anymore move based on outer social norms, right? Of this is right, that is wrong, those crutches, or even concepts anymore. All that is given way. So as I shared in my work is like, to truly move through this as Shruti, we call, not as Smriti. Smriti is memory, identified as the personal mind, to move as Shruti, right? So Vijnanamaya kosha is that. So when this comes into balance naturally, the higher aspect of the subtle body, which is the Sukshma Sharira, is wisdom. We open up to the wisdom that which we are. That is why we say, I am the Vedas. I am Akashic records. Right? That is that aspect that we open up to. We really see another way to look at it is like, I am multidimensional. To live as the personal mind, identified as the person, thinking mind, earth body belonging to earth, this is simply one dimension of that which we are at the level of consciousness. That which we are at the level of soul is multidimensional. And that kind of really opens up for us, right? So it's all connected. So pranayam, and what I really love about pranayam really is that it is natural, right? A very natural way that we're breathing and all of that. It takes care of everything and it is very pleasurable. It's a very pleasurable way of flowing through life in that sense. So I get very excited about that. So Vijnanamaya kosha is the fourth one, right? So we have Annamaya kosha, we have Pranamaya kosha, we have Manomaya kosha. We know the connection of this. Vijnanamaya kosha then opens up, right? Wisdom and everything. After that comes the Anandamaya kosha. That is as close to, one may say, our truer self in that sense, that state, right? And it's like the causal body. And the causal body is where our soul blueprint, our karmic level things are stored, right? And that's the bliss body, Anandamaya kosha. So that is the state where we, and I really want to say this, the biggest shifts really happen there, because that is where we awaken to knowing that I am awareness, right? And that we see clearly that this body that I'm identified with and its way of thinking, that is the thinking mind which is conditioned, and its play and the range of emotions in that, and the way that it perceives the world, all of that is one paradigm. And that's the Kali Yuga and Dwapara Yuga paradigm, experiencing duality. That's one state of mind, it's one state of consciousness, which energetically now we are out of already, right? So this is Treta Yuga and Satyayuga. So this is the awakened completely, that paradigm. So now these koshas are completely, so that radiates, right? So all of that. So this is the direct path, but I won't go more into that. I will share that in my introductory pranayam video itself. I'm planning to make that. But this was coming through and very, very relevant for the times that we're living today. So the importance of pranayama itself that we do, the breath work. And in that, sharing of this Ujjayi. But before I go into the juicy details of what has come through for this pranayam and why it is important for this time, let's actually jump into the practice itself. And I want to share with you how simple it is. Very simple. Ujjayi. Okay. So now Ujjayi, like I said, has to do with the throat. This is where our focus is going to be. So this, first and foremost, we are only breathing in from the nose, right? And never from the mouth. So we breathe in from the nose, which is puraka, inhalation, and then when we breathe in, we are constricting the throat, right? So it's like the air is moving through the throat, the glottis, and we feel the inner part of the throat as we breathe in. That is the key for Ujjayi Pranayama. And then when we exhale also, we can do the same, or we can exhale normally. Now, I want us to keep in mind, first and foremost, which I always share in my pranayam classes, right? This is all about things shift for us when we allow our body to lead. Right? We're used to doing things from the mind, and naturally so, because we've lived at the Dwapar Yuga, intellectual mind. And that is why even in yoga, if you really see that a lot of strict regulations and techniques and all are given, and they were meant for the Kali Yuga and dense Dwapar Yuga state of mind. Because otherwise, you give, when we are vibrating at that level, you give something that is good for us. And the nature of Kali Yuga and dense Dwapar Yuga mind is that effort and force. So then we create more harm for us, even when something good is given. So that is why, even with Vedas, right, they had such strict guidelines. But now we are in age of Aquarius. The level of consciousness that is right now here, the veil is very thin. So when we sense into our own bodies and everything, we will know. So I always invite, especially because this is the stepping stone for us to start, we have to start doing that with the age of Aquarius coming, living intuitively, coming to the body. Allow the body, she's the feminine, right? She knows. The body always will tell you. So never to force and allowing the body to lead. So this, depending on where the body is, right, where our health is, where we are, what we have practiced, it will change for us. Also another point, that through all these changes and through the cycle of transformation, body is changing in every moment. It's not the same, right? We might find ourselves one day we have slept well and we get up and we're all, body has this energy. We can do pranayam with more strength. And sometimes, for some, we don't even know what the reason is, but, the body feels tired or whatever. And those are not the days to kind of go by a concept and say, I need to do this for that long. So deeply sensing that. So in every moment, coming back to the body. I'm taking the time to share all this because this is foundational, really, with any kind of practice that we do or with life itself, right? To being in the body. Right? So being in the body and seeing where we find ourselves and trusting that and moving with that. So even with Ujjayi, I'm going to offer a couple of progressive ways of doing it and see where you find yourself. Giving ourselves the permission to play with this responsibly, of course, right? Mindfully, but to play with this, right? And of course, again, that I always share in class, that truly we are consciousness, right? So always reminding ourselves that I know, as in the body knows. There's a deeper knowing that is guiding me, right? Moving with that trust within us. So let's begin. So then when we inhale, the basic structure of this pranayam is that we breathe in from the nose, we squeeze in the glottic glottis or the throat area, right? As if like a straw. Breathe in and then we breathe out, right? Now, regarding kumbhakas, and that means the hold. For example, you breathe in, inhale, and then you hold the breath. That is the antara kumbhaka, right? Holding the breath. And then we may exhale and then just relax again. That's the bahya kumbhaka. But again, that's optional. See how you feel, where you are. You don't need to immediately start with all of that, right? You can do that later. To begin with, we'll just do the simple one. And I want to actually first begin. There are two versions. One where you really make a sharp sound, and the second one where it is a kind of an ocean sound, like that wave, like when you go on under the waves, like that kind of sound. It depends on what you find comfortable. Now, many a times, wherever we place our attention, right, that's where energy flows. And if we have not really worked with this, we might not find any sensation here. And then if that's the case, then using sound will help, may help. But you never know. For me, when I was using that sound, many times it was uncomfortable. And I actually found that going directly to just the ocean kind of that sound was much more easier for me. So you will figure out what is best for you. But I'm going to offer. So the first things we can even do a little bit with the sound, and I'll show you how that is. Inhaling from the nose. And always, of course, finding ourselves in a comfortable space. Right? Keeping the spine erect, get a backrest if you need to. You can do this sitting down. The best part about this pranayam, this is one of those rare pranayams that we can even do while moving, when we are active. And I'll share a little bit more about that later. But what I mean to say is that this is one pranayam we can even do, really, even at one level lying down. It's for everybody. Right? We'll do few rounds, but it's doable. So sit on a chair, sit cross-legged anywhere. Ideally, of course, the spine to be erect, shoulders at ease, coming into the body, coming to the breath. And first and foremost, always, right? Just coming into that centered energetic space and feeling the whole presence, aware field of the whole body. Our hips supported beautifully by Mother Earth. The ease of the erect spine as it so easily holds the torso, the neck and the skull. Belly soft, loose, steady lower back. Feeling that. Observing the breath. Shoulders at ease, jaws at ease. Eyeballs falling back at ease. From this state, right, where the whole body is loose and open, right? Now we isolate places. Right? So now we take gentle, loving attention to the throat. We always say, acknowledge body is our temple, right? For this experience of physicality. So taking our attention to this is where the Vishuddhi throat chakra is. So you take it there, acknowledge the chakra there, the body part there. Our heart open, Then we begin with J. I'm going to name one more thing here, which is very, very, very key. Feeling, doing this with Bhakti and feeling. Honoring these practices with an open heart. Now beginning Ujjayi. So to begin with, let's do that sound. We'll just do that sound, okay? Inhaling from the nose, and we're going to squeeze in the throat and make this noise. See how you feel. Now this is one version, right? Many times I've seen if some people cannot even sense this they find helpful. Somehow when there's sound and that vibration and everything, yeah, they get a sense of what it means to constrict the glottis, right? Now, the other version is just simply constricting. We don't need to make this sharp sound at all. And eventually we arrive to that as we practice. It's simply that deep hissing sound, like this deep underwater waves, like that ocean sound. So let's begin with that. Again, body at ease. So this is just constricting this just by making this thing, that ocean sound. That's it, just constricting that a little bit. Now, many ask the question whether left, right, you feel the inner part of your throat or in the front and the back. Don't worry about that. Whatever it is, it's fine, right? Just constrict it, go light, never force, right? One of the key things, again, foundation that I say is that's why previously all these practices and some of the practices, and even with Vedas, if you really see, were always offered orally, right? Because you don't want to force this. So whenever now we are coming across practices, whatever it is, to take absolute self-responsibility for our own well-being. And that pretty much means going slow, sensing in our body what feels right, never forcing, never overexerting. So even with this feel, right, the idea eventually is to do long breaths, right? This ocean, long breaths, and then to breathe out. But then in the beginning, when you're beginning, just might be a short breath, which is fine. So beginning with that. Now again, as mentioned, you may find a natural affinity to the Antara Kumbhaka, that is inhaling and holding, or the Bahya Kumbhaka, exhaling and holding. Doesn't matter. Go with whatever works. One more thing here. We can always inhale with the sound and exhale normally without making the sound. That's fine too, right? You don't have to inhale constricting and exhale constricting to begin with. Do whatever works. So let's try this. Also, the other version of it is where you're simply breathing in, and it's light. You're not even really tightly constricting in that sense when we're saying, and you're not pausing. You're not doing any kumbhakas. You are simply like breathing, like deep breaths, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and you're breathing as if from the back of the throat, right, from that area. This is also, as Bashar calls as the Gama breath, right? And then you can move into the Ujjayi version of it. So breathing in and breathing out. So let's begin with that. Let's try again. Making sure the shoulders are at ease. Rest of the body is absolutely at ease. The back of the head, sides of the head, all of that. Relaxed. Taking the attention to the throat. See how that feels. Okay, breathing in, okay, breathing out. Easefully, no rushing. Because there's a lot happening in the body when we do these pranayams. Right? So as always, Thiram, Sukham, Asana. Rest of the body, our field is loose, open only here. Now I want to offer something else here, which I'll share about, which is connecting these two chakras, Anahata, heart, and the third eye chakra. Agnya. Right? So when we connect this Ujjayi within with these two chakras, the Vishuddhi in these two chakras, truly, because this is the ascending wind, right? Udana, Prana is the forward moving motion and upward moving motion. So this really gets activated at our upper chakras in that sense. And so our heart opens up, which is purity. Heart always sees the purity of life that is, right? And then this Agnya chakra has to do with clarity. So we are awakening this, right? And the Vishuddhi is in the center, that is expression. So our living expression then becomes an expression of purity and clarity. So Ujjayi really serves in that aspect. Bhakti takes us a long way, this feeling space. So doing Ujjayi with feeling, truly. And how we do this is when we inhale into the heart, feeling the heart expand. And as we exhale, right, it's like inhaling, I receive into my heart the abundance of life that I am. And as I exhale, I give it back to life. And as I exhale from the third eye, feeling from the third eye, Agnya. And that in one way we can say, we can set an intention. And when I say intention, I don't want us to think or put any force and all that stuff. It's simply a feeling, an unnameable feeling in our essence. Right? So when we are exhaling, we exhale from the Agnya. It's like you inhale into the heart. What you're actually feeling is gratitude, right? You're receiving this breath. My God, abundance. I can take in as much as I need. Such is the abundance of life, right? Our heart opens. And as the heart opens, we give back fully. And we're giving back fully from our Agnya. There is a sankalpa, that I'm going to be seeing with clarity that which I am, that which life is. So my third eye opens, right? I see life with deeper clarity. That's a commitment within us that no matter what, every moment I will stand in and as awareness. So this is the next level of Ujjayi. When you're bringing in feeling, we're integrating even more into this Ujjayi. But not to make it too big a deal or anything, right? Just feeling, and this feeling, and then we can just drop it. And just feel it like a flow. Inhaling while doing Ujjayi into my heart, and then exhaling I do it. And then from my giving back, I see that which I am. Right? Clarity. So this is it. And share more about this, why this aspect, especially now in Treta Yuga. But this is very, very key. This is very, very key. So doing it with this. So let's try this once again before we jump into some of the juicy details of this pranayama. Okay? So now again we'll do this with the heart and the Agnya chakra. Body loose again. So when you allow the body to lead, she will want to move sometimes, right? So do that, right? Your shoulder or neck, or she will want to stretch. Coming to the breath, coming to the presence field. always, I can't emphasize this enough. Stay. I always share in my class, pranayama is nothing is about quantity, right? We know. It's about the quality. So even one breath in ours, they say, right, Brahma created worlds simply by, they say, as easy as just kind of blinking his eyeballs, right? At the level of energy when we start vibrating, really see that. So how many ever times you do this, right? Stay then with it, stay with it. That open, aware presence. Eventually you will start feeling the chakras. It's an amazing, amazing feeling, because we are the chakras, and what I mean by that is that's our energy. The way the chakras open up and flow is how we are experiencing life. That allows for everything. Now, begin by doing and trying all of this. One of the key things about Ujjayi, when we start doing Ujjayi, is that we breathe in, right? Inhale as usual, constricting this thing. And when we exhale, we are actually closing the right nostril, the solar masculine nostril, and exhaling from the feminine nostril. This is a very, very powerful distinction in the Ujjayi practice when we do this. Because we are used to moving as the intellectual mind, which is the masculine mind, as we know, we do this and breathe out from the feminine, we bring that into balance. So this is an important distinguishing feature of Ujjayi. Ujjayi is one of those rare pranayams that we can do in movement, that we can do through the day. This is one of those pranayams, unlike the others where our tummy needs to be empty. We can even do this 1 hour after we've eaten. And Ujjayi is one of those pranayams, especially when we do it with the ocean breath, like the light, deep breath, right? That version of it. We can do it through the day, like before lunchtime, right? Just a couple breaths at that time. Because one of the key things about Ujjayi Pranayama, that's why it's called Ujjayi, it brings us back into our center. The key feeling of Ujjayi Pranayama is coming into our center, that centered, grounded confidence. We'll just immediately feel it. We'll immediately feel it with Ujjayi. Right? So it helps to breathe from this. Right? Couple things before anywhere that you're going, just sitting there. So many a times we then, let's say if you're doing this outside and we don't want to use your hand or whatever, you can just be sitting and doing just a couple, right? But if you're doing this in the morning, and especially before bedtime, before also Anuloma Viloma, right? These are all amazing pranayams that you do, right? Before you go to bed, you're actually going into that deeper aspect of you. So setting intentions, doing this pranayam really sets us up. So doing a couple of Ujjayi before Anulom Vilom also is very, very helpful. Those times, right, in the morning and the same you're sitting and doing practice, definitely use this. Right? And I'll share a little bit more also why about that. Because we are so used to moving with our energy here. Right? It's all phenomena, it's a mechanism. But our focus is here. This is the revving up, I say, right? Like we are revved up. So, here. So when we do this, it really helps us to come into balance. Okay, so the left nostril. This version, to keep in mind after you've practiced a little bit, however it feels comfortable. And last but not least, if you feel comfortable, you're ready for all of this, the last version also is that after we inhale, right, constrict the throat and we inhale, apply the Jalandhar Bandha. Jalandhar Bandha is the neck lock. This creates like an additional pressure. But I want to be very clear about this. The Jalandhar Bandha is not like this. It's not bending our neck and none of that. Jalandhar Bandha is simply tilting the chin a little down. That's all. So you're going to inhale, right? After we inhale, just this. That light tilt. Okay, no bending the neck. Just that dip in your chin. So if you're going to hold the breath, then just that dip. Right? Eyes closed, rest of the body at ease. Then you're going to exhale. You just lift it up a little bit. An inch up and breathe out. That also is very helpful. Again, only more of these. Do not take these lightly. At the level that we're working with energy. So the best thing we can really do is come into feeling, letting our body to lead, going slow. Please go slow. Do this. Begin with just doing 3 Ujjayis to begin with, and the simpler one, right? And then try with the Kumbhaka, where you're trying to hold, right, between breath, things like that, right? So begin with doing maybe 3 or 5. Do it in the beginning of the day, then maybe in the night, and through the day maybe you can do once or twice as well, and feel into it. And if you feel called to it, you can even journal, right? Any practice, because sometimes that helps us kind of see and feel how this goes. This is and we've just touched the surface. Okay? We've just touched the surface. Again, everything is a holistic thing, right? It's not just this pranayam, not just these 3 chakras. All the chakras work together and are needed, right? That's our pranayam practice that we do. So to keep in mind, this is one aspect of it. But this was coming through so strongly, especially when I do some of my channeling, where I say where I'm really meditating and this information comes through. The higher self that I say, whether I say guides, angels, whatever, right? The higher self was like really coming through to share why this is important for us at this time in our transformative cycle. And so we'll jump into that next. Benefits. Now, the commonly known benefits of this naturally are, it helps with thyroid, right? The neck, if you have any kind of throat issues, for vocal expression, all of that. This is a great pranayam really to use. So it helps with that, and if you're snoring and some of the sleep effects, all of that, this is very, very good. Apart from that, like I already mentioned, when you look at Prana Vayu and Udana Vayu, right, it energizes us, it activates, it centers, so helps with confidence, very, very important, helps with BP, the high blood pressure also. So there is one contraindication that I really want to share here, is that if you have any kind of extremely high BP, or even have low BP, then begin slowly And then also stay in touch with your doctor to do that, right? And go slow on this. Very important. So there are the regular things, but we'll go part by part. One of the biggest things about this pranayama is, if in the body we look at it, right? This is the masculine, right? If everything is perspective. So the way that we look at it in this context, this is the masculine, right? Moving as the intellect energy. This is the feminine. So this pranayama really helps us in coming into balance. The masculine and the feminine energies coming into balance, into integration. That is why when we do this pranayama here, right? Like this is literally the bridge, one may say. So when we do this pranayama in that sense, we come into that centered place. The energetic transfer between the intellect and the intuition comes into balance, right? The feminine and the masculine. One of the key things about this is that Udana Vayu, which is to do with the throat, is connected to the nervous system. And Prana Vayu is connected to our immunity, right? So this is really a powerful pranayama. When we are in our heads all the time, right? That's the experience of the Kali Yuga and Dwapar Yuga state of consciousness. This one. So we know, right? Our innate nature is ease, even at the level of the body, right? When all this integrates, we really feel that a sense of inner well-being. That is not experienced when we are really moving as the thinking mind. So we know stress, overthinking, worry. If you've ever lived as the separate self, even at the mildest level, then we dance at the emotions of frustration, right? All of those, right? That keeps us off. As I say, we are in the separate self. There is a certain level of disembodied way of, energetic way of being. This brings us back into that, right? So all that really, it helps with, because it brings us into alignment. So with the nervous system, if you really look at it, as the separate self, we are all leaning in the fight or flight mode, the sympathetic system. And this then brings it back and brings us into the parasympathetic mode. And we naturally then start feeling in with the parathyroid mode, right? Really starts bringing us into alignment, into a sense of ease, right? And so for all of us, we feel our minds are running, we get stressed easily, our focus as the gross senses is into the world and the narrative of the world, and it gets overwhelming, all of that. This pranayama, along with the others, especially when we do, really brings us back into our center, offers us, again, naturally, heart opening, offers us clarity, right? So the nervous system. So what we call at the level of the body as the nervous system is actually our auric and our electromagnetic field. Right? That constricted, right? In the sympathetic fight mode, it's like we get into that focus state. We need to, right? Because we are like in attention. Then at the parasympathetic phase, this eases up. And this eases up really automatically, right? As energy now, our actual felt energetic body even radiates beyond the edges of the denseness of the body. We become lighter, right? We become lighter. That's natural. All phenomena, all tantra, right? When we feel lighter, then naturally more buoyancy is there. And our electromagnetic field, our auric field, all then radiates, right? So that's the thing with the nervous system. We really look at it. And naturally when that happens, our immunity is great. We feel vital, right? We feel we are thriving, right? Even if there is any kind of unease, there is an unknown feeling within us. I got this, that my body heals, right? Because I want to name this, right? Because at this point, energetically, we are at that tail end with the dissolution of that duality, the identity of duality. And the dual mind, because we've lived at that energetic thing, is very sticky, right? It pulls, right? So there is a lot right, going on. And I'm going to share about that. That's why the Samudra Manthan, I bring in mythology at that point, because the Samudra Manthan story in our culture and mythology is meant for this time. If Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna shared with Arjuna in the battlefield, the song of God, Bhagavad Gita that he shared, was when we are primarily in that Dwapar Yuga state. Samudra Manthan is for this liminal phase that we are in right now, where we're moving out of Dwapar Yuga and we are into Treta Yuga, and we feel the churn. The churning is happening at that time, right? So that is the phase that we are in. So it is very, very sticky, right, at that point. So this pranayam is for that phase. So now coming back to the story of Samudra Manthan and what actually came through and why this pranayam is important at this time. So according to our mythology, right, these are Puranas, legends, right, stories that were written, and this has been written in Vishnu Purana, it's been mentioned in the Mahabharata, these are some of our epics, and even Ramayana, right, if you look at it. So this Samudra Manthan has been mentioned because, like I always mention, the rishis, the yoginis, the seers, the mystics all knew what was coming. However, the nuance of how it might be experienced might be different. But Samudra Manthan is the time of awakening that we are going through right now. So in this story, right, in story form, that how it was shared was that there is a point when the Asuras and the Devas were churning the milky ocean. I won't go too much into it because, there's enough information out there. I'll go ahead and put a link down there if you want to read about this story in detail and how, there are different ways it's been shared, right? Because at the story form, right, it's all symbolic, you have to see behind, right? So I'll go ahead and put a link there. But to keep it short here, in short, there is this, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, right? The Asuras and the Devas. They are churning the ocean, the milky ocean, and they're churning it. There's a mountain in the middle with Shiva's snake, Vasuki, the 1,000-headed snake, used as a rope. And they're churning the ocean because the Amrita, right? Amrita is the elixir. That is the nectar of life, the holy grail, right, of immortality, is at the bottom of the ocean. And both are churning because they want to get that, right? They want the gift of immortality, all of that. So they are churning at that point. And when they're churning, really they see that a lot of things come up, right, from the ocean, from the milky ocean comes up. One of that really comes up is, of course, there are gifts also that come up. There are treasures that come up, there's some jewels that come up, and all of that comes up. And with that also comes up this dark, black darkness, unconsciousness, which is poison, which is called as a Kalakuta halahal. That comes up, right? It almost chokes Vasuki, the snake. And when this comes up, now this poison is not, it's not possible for the Asuras or for the Devas to handle. And they know that if this halahal poison gets into the world, everybody's going to die. It's going to be the end of the world. So that is when really, Shiva is invoked, right? Shiva is invoked. And then Shiva is the only one who can drink this Kalakuta halahal and not die. Right? He drinks this halal and he holds the poison in his throat. And that's why he is named as the Neelakantha. If you look at it, this is the blue-throated one. Right? Nothing happens to him. And this is so relevant for us at this time that we are moving, because this is exactly what is happening at this point. When the state of mind, which has lived at the level of duality, right, the play of duality, Dwapar Yuga, dissolution of that happens. The way that it happens is that when we are living a certain state, as we know, we, as in the known mind, is actually blind to it, right? We are blind to our habits. We are blind to our patterns. It's so funny to see, right? Because we are living it at the subconscious level. We are actually functioning and tasting it. Consciousness is tasting it. But the known mind is unaware that it is moving as that mechanism, right? So when this transition happens and we awaken into Treta Yuga, what is actually happening is all that is in the subconscious has to come up. Again, as we know, the self and the world is one and the same. And that is what we are seeing. So even at the level of the body, all this comes up to be seen. If we are not aware of what is happening, and we are still identified at the unconscious level, then we are going to react to it. The invitation of this time is to know that we have to bless what is coming up to be seen, because just the fact that we can see it means it's over. We are done playing that game. And now is the harvest time. We are actually seeing on surface. Oh my God. This way of being, this is what we learned from it. These are the gifts from it. And these are the things that didn't work for us at all. We know that now, right? So every state of mind allows us to experience and sense into that. Stand firmly in the Treta Yuga state of consciousness, the paradigm shift. That is why it's called awakening. We awaken to the awareness that which we are. Right? When we are aware, now we can see the play of duality happening within me, right? In my world. But we don't need to react. This allows us, awareness is the neutral mind, the neutral state that then allows us for discernment in how to move. Right? We're not reacting, we're not moving from the personal identity. So that is why this is so important. So they're saying Ujjayi is that where Shiva held in his throat, blue. Ujjayi, that's why it has a deeper significance. This pranayam was brought forth. And I also want to name why blue, right? One is of course Ujjayi. This gives us the confidence to stand as awareness and not be moved easily, right? That is the gift of this pranayam. Why blue? Blue, as we know, nothing is a coincidence, right? Everything is tantra. There is a reason why we have the expansive sky that is blue, and there is a reason why the water at the ocean is blue. Blue is a color, as we know, of healing. It heals. It's the throat, Vishuddhi chakra color, expression, expansive. Even appearing as a limited body, I am unlimited. That is what is healing, right? Healing and evolving, two sides of the same coin. So that is why Neelakantha, that was symbolic for it. That we can even drink the poison, as in we might experience it at the level of the body when we are moving, right? When these patterns come up, we can see it. But as we stand as awareness, so this pranayam allows for that. To stand in that Shiva Tattva, as we say, And again, when we do it with feeling, that is what that was coming forth very, very importantly, to significance of that. To keep the heart open, to keep this thing that allows for purity and clarity is my way. Right? So then we are grounded in Treta Yuga, moving as awareness. So this was really, really key, I'll share a little bit. Probably I might even do a separate one on Samudra Manthan itself, because again, what they're showing me, he went to Ma Tara. Tara means star, celestial realm. As we know in Genesis, the waters, the firmament, right? And that is waking up from our one-dimensional self. Waking up as awareness is waking up as at the soul, at the multi-dimensional level. And that is waking up to our celestial level. And the soul is feminine. She's the mother. She is actually living. The masculine identity, personal, is her child. We are playing as this person in her womb. So that's what we realize. The cosmic being is the womb. That is how the person would say. And waking up as awareness as soul is to truly seeing that I am a cosmic being. That waking up at the level of the soul is to recognize our star qualities. And to heal from the poison, Ma Tara breastfed him. Right? So it's the feminine, she's the source, always at every level. So she really, took care of him and all of that stuff. So going into that. So that's why blue, we are getting fluid. That's what they're showing me. The waters, the celestial waters, the firmament, the upper firmament, all of that. That was this thing. This is the blue color that is going to come in. So all of this we come into when we do these pranayama in that sense. Now last but not least, because I also share a lot about which, density we are in and which dimension. There's a lot of talk with this awakening as well going on, if you really look at it. This again is looked at that. A third density, fourth density, and fifth dimension. Right? So this is very, very key if you really look at it. One perspective in this, if you look at it, the root chakra is our first dimension. When consciousness is only vibrating at the root chakra, one may say consciousness experiences itself as mineral, the soil, at that level, in that sense. Swadhisthana, second level, water, sensing. We experience, consciousness experiences itself at the level of the animal kingdom. There's a sensing in that, there's an intelligence in that. So that kind of, there's group intelligence in that. And that there is instinct, moving as instinct. That's the right thing, moving as instinct. That is when the second chakra, when we experience, consciousness experiences itself as the second chakra. When consciousness, that which we are, experiences itself at the third chakra, Manipura, that is human consciousness. We know yellow, radiant, I am, but as an individual expression. That's why we call it as the hara, right? That I wake up as that. But we are still unconscious of our truer nature as consciousness. So this is where we are living as the separate self-identity and personality, right? So that's our identity at the Manipura. And that is the experience of the third density that we speak about, which is Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. And now we are awakening at the fourth density, heart, right? So awakening, that's why energetically, is to awaken to that which we are as unconditional love. Unconditional love. Right? So this is the fourth chakra, Anahata, as we say. And this is so important at this point, because as this opens, that's why this really helps if this comes into alignment. Right? Because in this Treta and Satyayuga, we move as the aware self. This is what activates this, right? I also want to name one more thing where especially that's why with thyroid, if you've really seen in history now, especially with the feminine, right, and shows up especially in women, there is a high rise in thyroid imbalance. That is because of this, the self-expression, the feminine, because everything's energy, right? Everything's energy. The suppression of this, the need to speak truth. Now what happens is when we do pranayam, that's why heart opens, we are able to express in a balanced way. So even where there is a need for us to stand up and speak our truth, it is done from that identity which is whole, which sees I am that which all is. The expression then of speaking the truth does not other or does not diminish anybody else. Sees phenomena, right? So this is so key for that, because it sees with clarity, because the third eye is open. So that was another thing at the chakra level, if you really want to see. I will also name this. The fifth dimension that we often hear about is an inner state. And what I mean by that is the non-dual state. We cannot live at the fifth dimensional state and be in a physical body. That is pure energy. At fourth density, there are layers again, cycles within cycles, right? Nothing is static the way the words come out. But I'm saying at the fourth density is the paradox of the mind being in the non-dual state, which is fifth dimensional. I am timeless at the level of energy, consciousness. We know that as awareness. I am not moving as linear time. I am experiencing and creating this experience as a body that moves in linear time. So it's that paradox. The fourth density is the paradox of that. Fifth dimension, and the body is moving in the third density still when we open our eyes and holding that. But now our heart is open. So we are living as unconditional love. And that is why we are living as, they say, manifest consciousness as Devis and Devas. That is why even in the Samudra Manthan, that was it. So the Devas and Devis, like they got the Amrita, when the elixir came up. This is waking up as I am. The Amrita, the elixir of immortality is not outside of us. It is our true nature. I am immortal, right? Waking up as the non-dual self is to realize that this cycle of birth and death is for the body, right? And the psychological I, all of that, right? So chronos, like I say, we're waking up, I'm kairos, right? I'm timeless. And so this is it. So this is truly through, I'm bringing this back to the pranayam, right? Why this is? Through pranayam, experientially waking up to being and living as embodied divinity. This is not just a concept, right? An idea. And we might start by playing with it. But these kind of practices really allow for that, to be able to see that this is living as embodied divinity. All that is that which I am. All that is which that I am. And now imagine a world playing as gods and goddesses. This is what was there before, right? Because everything is in cycles, right? This was there before. Where imagine our way of creating and living a world, right? Of course, if you really want to go to the core, it's all the self-play. The minute the self changes, its world changes. As if it looks like the world is changing, but it's just the self, because the reality that is perceived outside is simply a reflection, right? The holographic effect. But if we are speaking at the level of the holographic effect itself as a collective that we look at, that we are traveling together, then imagine this is a time of pure creativity and a time of possibility. There is no limit to what is possible because we have awakened to our celestial self. Absolutely amazing, So that is what is coming into place. Really. Imagine the way that now we will co-create, right? When we know that there is only one divine being and we are like the hands, right? And each of us are these unique expressions. And again, living as unconditional love, age of Aquarius, Sophia Christ consciousness, golden age, whatever names we might give this, is living as love, meaning we are the loving. What we are, what we love to do, what we are called to do, is what we will be doing. There won't be any fragmentation, right? So that is going to come to place. I mean, there's so much to share about this. So we are in exciting times. We are coming into a wholeness unlike ever before. So this is the gift of Ujjayi Pranayama, among all other pranayams as well. So with that, I also want to share that if any of this resonates, if you're interested, come join us. Right now, I'm offering pranayam classes Mondays and Wednesdays on Zoom, which is outside, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays in Mystery School. So 4 days a week. Come and try it out if this calls. It's a very different way, and it's not just pranayam really. It is this channel transmission with that. So it's bringing everything together, being able to hold. When the mind is dense, then our understanding is less. When we do these pranayam and these transmissions that come from the field itself, the shifts are immediate. Immediately experienced. And right now, as I've shared with the quickening and the energy moving fast, very helpful. So I'll put the details down as well. Come and join us. And we'll leave it at that for now. To living and celebrating that which I am, that which all is. An awakened body, mind, world. Thank you. And have a beautiful